Good morning. I'm Michael Johnson. I live in Texas. I'm a writer. I have 8 books. I have a doctorate in psychology, which you will be relieved to know I never took too seriously. And I'm also a cowboy, still rope, which, trust me when I tell you, I always took very seriously. I have a couple of obsessions. One is to talk on this show about horses, and we talk about those marvelous creatures from time to time. And my other one is a question, the answer to a specific question. For 40 years, what is it that makes us rise? What is it that helps us to succeed? One of the methods that I've used to try and answer that question for all those years is I love to interview people who have done well in their chosen field. Ask them, how is it that you did that? And today we have a splendid example of that, Mr. Kulp of Indigo Industries. This company started by this man who had some challenges in life, is doing very well, and let's just find out how he did that. Herb, tell us about how you began. Where did you grow up?
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Moved to Texas at age 28.
28. And during that time, did you work for other people?
Yes, I did.
What kind of jobs were those?
Mostly construction related.
Construction? Did you always have this feeling that you wanted to go on your own?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Where do you think that came from?
The employers I had, I felt trapped or restricted in the position, the job I had, and I just wanted more in life.
Yeah. In my interactions with you, I've noticed it seems that you have an almost excess of skills in a number of areas. Of course, you're technically proficient in those things that you do, but you also have this math ability, you have a problem-solving ability, visualization, you can see some completed structure out there before it exists in the real world. You're very resilient. You have experienced failure, but it doesn't seem to defeat you. Where would all those things come from?
I would attribute most of that to coaches. I have a lot of good ideas, but when I actually start doing the carrying it out, like we all do, we get overwhelmed. And I always call my coaches, call somebody that's been through this before.
Yeah.
And it helps me, gives me new life, new ideas, and there's always a way.
I can really identify with that. I've had many of the same experiences calling people and say, I just can't do this. And they say, well, yeah, actually, it's not that difficult. And here we go. It turns out that we are more able than we think sometimes. Well, I've noticed another thing about the people that work for you. They are so dedicated, loyal, motivated. They remind me of Marine fighter pilots ready to go into battle. How is it that you generate that in people? Why is that important to you?
I want my employees to enjoy their job. I want them to advance in their personal life. And even if that means they move on to other opportunities.
Yeah, and I've seen some examples where you've helped people go on and you lose an employee as a result, but that person does better, which I think also generates that loyalty to you. I've also noticed that you have a concern not only for your employees, but the people outside that circle. Most people your age are interested in cash flow only, and while you have to make a living, I understand that, you are also interested in a broader view. Where does that come from?
This thing is too big for me. Leaders, businesses, life in general is too big for me, and so I want others to succeed, because that helps me. When others succeed around me, it provides more opportunities. And
higher life satisfaction for you as well.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
That's a wonderful trait. You've also, I've heard you talk about how you're influenced by the billionaire Richard Branson, who visualizes his business not as a huge corporation, big battleship out in the middle of the ocean, but rather a lot of little small speedboats that can respond to change.
Yes.
You're influenced by that.
Yes, I am. I'm say depressed when I see large corporations that don't change fast enough to the surroundings. And maybe managers push things off on other managers. Maybe it just doesn't happen fast as when they're individually responsible.
I see. In the large corporation, you can shirk responsibility, but in the small one, it's easy. Everybody needs to pull together.
Yes.
So I think that's a very intelligent thing to attempt to achieve. All right. What would you tell people who come to you and say, "Well, I want to start my own business"? What would you say to them?
If you're starting off from going from employment to business owner, I would say first get a job in the arena. For example, if you want to be a restaurant owner, go get a job as a janitor, a job that requires you to be in the office, the work area of every person in that company.
Mm-hmm.
And to actually see what they're going through, because they're handling things that you didn't even know existed.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those are difficult things, and you may not have an interest in being the business owner.
Yeah, wonderful. I've noticed that when I interview people like you, they sort of summarize with a word or a sentence that was very important to them. What would you say yours is?
That would be love what you do and never, ever, ever quit. There's always a way. And there again, it goes back to the coaches. You need to have coaches in your life that you can call on when decisions come up.
Mm-hmm. I think that love what you do is something that we could do a better job of teaching. When we say love what you do, people think you mean do something frivolous. But that's not what we mean at all, is it?
No.
You work harder for yourself than you will anybody else.
Yes.
Okay, well, we could talk all day, but I just want to thank you for coming and sharing this time with us. And I admire you so for the people that you hire and help and your quality work. And Mr. Kulp, he reminds me of something you do, a line that I love. As I said, you weren't exactly born on third base. You had challenges to overcome, and you created this very successful business with your mind in your hands. And it just reminds me of something. It's so true of you. That is that you learned that you were stronger than you thought and more than you knew.
Yes.
So it is with all of us. That's not said to make you feel good. It's the truth. Thank you for listening.